about. Hello and welcome everyone to the fifth episode of SEO Surgery in India. Well, we are very happy. The weather is awesome here, and we have three lovely guests from different parts of the world. We have Paul Lovell from the UK, and then we have Akhil Agarwal, who is originally from India but he's based in Singapore these days. And then we have Andy from the UK. Well, like we have this structure of this show, so we'll be auditing three websites today, and these three guests, or you can say experts, will be putting some lights on these websites from SEO perspective. So now I would like to introduce our guest for the day, and I want them to introduce themselves because I don't want to spend the whole show on their introduction because there's a lot to talk about these people. All right, so starting with the first guest, who is Paul Lovell. So, Paul, could you please, just talk about yourself a bit?
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Lovell. I'm head of search at pricesearcher.com. At the moment, I'm doing a lot of stuff with log analysis, and then shortly be moving into featured snippets. So, just focusing on those areas at the moment, really.
Thank you so much, Paul. Lovely having you here. Paul, what is your favorite aspect these days about SEO?
At the moment, I'm deep diving into log analysis, so that's where my focus is at the moment. And to be fair, I'm loving it, so it's great.
Lovely. So we have, I think, two log analysis experts here, Paul and Andy. Both of them are like real pros in this field. So I'm expecting a lovely battle here about log analysis and some different views from both of you. All right. Thank you so much, Paul, once again, and welcome to the show. And moving to the next guest, who is Akhil Agarwal, who is regional SEO head for Shopback. Akhil, could you please introduce yourself now? Can you please unmute yourself first?
Sure. Thanks, Nitin.
Yeah, thanks.
And hello, everyone. This is Akhil. I head the SEO and content at Shopback. We work across 7 countries, and we're a cashback site. I would like to extend my vote of thanks to Nitin and Semrush for inviting me on this webinar with some of the coolest experts we have here. I think SEO is a very interesting field, and actually I started as a part-timer, and then it's now my bread and butter. So yeah, I think welcome all, and I hope to have some good learnings here.
Pleasure having you here, Akhil. Akhil, what is your favorite aspect? What are you working on?
I think these days, for us personally, we're working on the mobile PWA because it's mobile first index that we're actually focusing on, and then doing some studies around featured snippets to see how we can win that. So I think these are the 2 interesting aspects that we're currently now working on.
All right. And are you also, trying your hands in voice search domain or not currently?
Not very actively, though. I've been reading a bit about that, but I think the more pressing issues for me are right now the mobile first index, which is focusing on PWA, and then moving on to voice search in some time, I think.
Lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that, Akhil.
Thank you so much.
All right. Moving to the last but not least guest of the show, who is Andrew Halliday, and his short name is Andy, so you can call him Andy. He won't mind that, I'm sure. And yes, Andy, all yours.
Hi. So yeah, I'm Andy from On Page Rocks. We are a technical and server log specialist company. So all we do is we don't deal with content, we don't deal with link building, we just do crawling websites and doing server log analysis. So yeah, that's all we do.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Andy. And what is your favorite aspect these days, apart from log analysis? Because I know you're working on log analysis for quite some time now, and you are like one of the masters in that domain. So anything else you're working on apart from log analysis?
It's just all technical. So it would be mainly log analysis. So crawling, manipulating Googlebot, making it crawl section to the site we want it to crawl.
All right.
But yeah.
Thank you so much, Andy. And everyone, I mean, if you have not checked Andy's videos with his super cute son, then go and check it. I mean, it's amazing. So great stuff there, Andy. And Andy, you were practicing something with your introduction here, but you missed that. So I just wanted to remind you about that. Want to give it a shot?
Namaste.
That was awesome. Thank you so much, Andy. All right, guys. That's it from the introduction side. And I'm the host for this show. I'm Nitin Manchanda. I'm working at Trivago. I'm originally from India and based in Germany. So namaste from my side as well. and I'm looking forward to host the show and really excited because we have three amazing experts with us, and we have picked three really good sites as well. So the sites that we are going to audit today are studiopedia.com. So Andy would be talking about that. And then we have parentlane.com. So Akhil would put some light on that. And then the last one we have is techjobs.sulekha.com. And Paul would be talking about that. So I think it's time to start the real show for which you all are waiting for. So let's start with Akhil, who would be talking about parentlane.com. So Akhil, it's all yours now.
Sure. Thanks, Nitin. And I would just like to walk you through some of the slides that we have and some of the tools that you're going to walk through for Parent Lane. So I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah, I think it's good now.
Yeah, but I can see myself only.
Okay. Yes, that's it. Okay, so thanks, guys. And let us walk through some of the understanding for Parent Lane. So Parent Lane is basically a data and science technology firm focusing on child development. And I think it mainly focuses on app, but we're going to check the website here and understand some of the issues that they might have. Going forward, the three sections that we would cover would be technical analysis, the on-page factors, and the off-page factors to a bit. This will not be a comprehensive analysis as we have a time constraint here, but I'll try to cover some of the aspects here. For the technical audit, we'll be looking at the site architecture, the categorization, the crawl errors. The tools that we're going to use would be DynoMapper, Screaming Frog, and Deep Crawl for this part of the show. Now, just to go over our tools and see what we have here. So this is a tool called as DynoMapper. I think it's good for visual representations of a site architecture. So I've already added my site here, which is Parent Lane. And you can just create a free account on this for a trial version, add the site, and then probably when you go inside the first analysis, which is the site maps, you will actually get to understand the website architecture in a visual representation. So this basically gives you the folder level architecture and then the subfolders. If I click on any of these subfolders, it will take me to a screen where it will understand the URL patterns and the URLs within that structure. So I think it's quite useful to understand the site architecture when you're first time visiting a website or trying to analyze your competition. Screaming Frog also does a similar thing, but I think a visual representation appeals to a lot of people. So this is what this helps. This also has an accessibility section where actually you can understand the issues with the WCAG elements. The site is already added, and if I click on this, you could actually see a pattern of all the URLs and some issues that the URLs might face. It says there are 20 known problems across the URLs because it's the same architecture in the code base across the site. If I click on this, you can visualize the issues here, which are like the element issues, italic tag issues, anchor text contains no text, and all those things. But if you want a more visual representation, you can also visualize this into a different pattern, which is this. And I think it's interesting for some of the people because it gives you a visual representation of what you can do. Now, there are two elements here. The exclamation marks are basically things that can be a problem, might be a problem. But there are X marks, which is definitely a problem. For example, this actually talks about header nesting, which is basically saying the architecture of your heading tags is not in the appropriate manner. It should be in a flow like H1, H2, and H3, and so on. This might not be a critical element, but I think if you go deeper, you could find critical elements like anchor text and the heading tags and all those things. So I think it's quite useful to have a tool like this to understand the site architecture and the things. With this, we move on to the next tool, which is tcrawl, which is one of my personal favorites. This actually is probably I would call a more simulation version of Screaming Frog, which actually gives you some issues that you could work on. So the issues it has identified with Parent Lane would be empty pages, which means there is no content on these pages, thin pages, which is not contextually very relevant and thin content, non-indexable URLs in sitemap, which is actually URLs which are not there in the search engines and cannot be indexed, having no index tags or a robots.txt, and all these issues. So I think quite interesting in terms of how it layouts the entire architecture of the website. This section deals with orphan pages. Now it says these pages are not connected to the site anywhere, And it's very important that if you have SEO pages that you want value out of, they should not be orphaned. They should be connected to the website in some manner. The web crawl depth actually covers what are the primary pages and where they are situated. So primary pages is in green and it's situated at level 7th, which I think is something to look at, and the internal link flow should be looked at on this. So I think this tool gives you quite a bit context of what you would want to do and what are the pages that you want to say. For example, this canonical to non 200. When I click on this and I go into the report, this will actually say that this blog has a canonical URL as this, which is actually a 301, which means the canonical URL that you have on the source code is a 301, which actually creates a loop for Google and also wastes its crawl budget. So very important, I think, to understand that you should have the right URLs. Also, I would just go through some of the other structures that we have. So basically, this is a cache version of the homepage. And if you see, it doesn't pass any internal links to the main categories or the internal URLs, which I think it should have a proper navigation, a top or a bottom navigation to pass the link flow. If you look at the internal page cached version, you can see two images. One is the internal links here, which is this is how a user sees it, and this is how Google sees it. So now the difference is that parent lane uses React.js to display its content. And unfortunately, the call is not being made at the time when the bot crawls, when the bot is crawling the page. So it's very important to have the right call here. Also, it uses a lot of JavaScripts where it could bundle the JavaScripts into a single application so that it could accelerate the load time and the user experience. I think quite important for people to understand that how could they minimize the load times. So yes, the internal link needs to be taken care of in a way. The second thing is the website has HTTPS links, but it's still using HTTP links in the sitemap, XML sitemap, and the internal linking. So quite important for the website to understand that it has switched over and the navigation also needs to be switched over. With this, we go on to the next part, on-page audit. I think everyone likes to audit meta tags, title tags, and so this is the basic audit, I think. What's interesting for me is the off-page audit, where I would talk about Majestic. So the tool that I'm using right now is Majestic, and this is my personal favorite. This helps you understand how the site performs in terms of the link architecture. The two metrics that we look at very prominently is trust flow and citation flow. And I think very important to look at these metrics. Trust flow is basically a quality metric and citation flow is a quantitative metric. And the combination of these two actually form a powerful understanding of the backlinks history of the website. People also use domain authority and page authority, which are good, I think. But I think this for me provides more validation on the quality and the quantity factor. I would just like to take this opportunity to go on the tool and actually see what parent lane is doing. This is parent lane, and we have the trust flow as 8, citation flow as 21, and the referring domains as 412. The topical trust flow in this is an important area also. So whenever you look at Majestic, look at the topical trust flow, because this actually signifies what are the categories of backlinks that are coming to your website. So example, parent lane has most of the backlinks coming from computers, internet searching, on the web, from news and magazines. It will be good to get some backlinks from health or family forums and such kind of sites which actually deal with childcare, right? So it's all about the cluster of links you have. Now we'll navigate why the trust flow is 8 and the citation flow is 21. It seems a bit odd. Let's go to the referring domains, and remember we have 412 referring domains. We go to referring domains. Right. So good links, right? INC42 and all those things, they have quite a good trust flow. Remember, trust flow is the quality factor actually. But when I try to actually analyze this, what I'll do is I'll order this structure by trust flow, okay, descending, and the citation flow as ascending. Now what this gives me is a good glimpse of what is the highest trust flow and the citation flow. So you see number 1 is medium with 83 trust flow. If I go down, At 46, I end the trust flow, which means out of 421 domains, only 46 have any trust flow and citation flow. The rest do not have any, which means that the site is short on the trust flow. Only 10 to 12% of the domains that are actually linking back have good trust flow. The rest do not have any trust and citation flow. And that actually is a very valid point to understand and then audit and re-audit the website in terms of the backlinks. So I think quite interesting what Majestic offers. You can look at the anchor text variations and see what are the opportunities that you could earn from them. Whether it's empty anchor text and it has citation and trust flow, you can go and probably submit your sites there and put an anchor text there. I think this is very basic where most of us people do, but I think this is where we could actually focus on strengths on. Lastly, but not the least, but also actually take a look at parent lane and understand the overview of parent lane. They've just started gaining some ground on the organic sector. I think they are ranking for some good keywords. One thing I would appreciate is the URL structure that the website has. They have a very clean URL structure, which I would appreciate, but if they could improve on the internal linking and the architecture, that would give them great results, I believe. So I think this is more of what we would like to cover. I would look at in the organic research tab, I would actually look at the competitors and what positions they have and see, what are the areas of improvement that people could work on. So I think this is more from the understanding of the website. And one last note that I would like to probably give is that the website needs to improve on the internal link architecture a lot.
Cool. Thank you so much, Akhil. You are well in time, and you covered a lot of things in 10 minutes, which was amazing. I mean, you covered every different aspect of the website, from content visibility to a bit of technical SEO, and then link profile as well. So great stuff, Akhil. I really enjoyed that audit. All right. So thank you so much once again. And now moving to our guest, Paul and Andy. Do you have something to add here, which Akhil couldn't because of probably time constraint, or probably that's not his cup of tea?
Yeah, I believe he's done a pretty good job of that, to be honest with you. I was looking through and tying in the notes that I'd made as well. So yeah, good job. The only thing I picked up on is maybe some image optimization, but that's about it though, really.
Cool. Thank you so much, Paul, for adding that. Andy, do you have something here?
Yeah, I was going to say about compressed images. Even the babyface logo, you can get a 56% reduction. You kind of covered it, but in the robots file, again, the link off to the HTTP sitemap rather than HTTPS sitemap. But the biggest win this website could have is moving to HTTP2. If you look at the site, it's only a HTTP 1, 1.1. Move to HTTP2, the page speed will half overnight. So, yeah.
Exactly. I noticed that as well. Thank you so much, Andy, for adding that.
But
and
yeah,
I think it's really, really easy to move from HTTP 1 to 2. It's really easy, and it makes a huge difference in terms of performance. So I would recommend everyone to keep an eye on that, not just HTTPS, because people are blindly moving to HTTPS. HTTP 2 is super easy. Go for it, guys. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I think they would be really happy to see some tips on every aspect of the website's SEO. So they'll be really, really happy. Thank you so much, guys, for adding that. Cool. Then moving to the next website, and Paul would be talking about that. The website is techjobs.sulekha.com. So yeah, Paul, it's all yours now.
No problem. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I've done an SEO audit on techjobs.sulekha.com. It's a very large site. So let's just dive into it. So yeah, here we are. The first thing that I noticed on it was just the subdomain structure that they've got, the main architecture of the site. Every one of these gray menu tabs that you've got here is effectively a subdomain, which really isn't sort of like condensing that authority into one .com domain. So I believe that they would benefit a lot from that rather than splitting it out. Can understand why they're doing it, but in the bigger picture of things, I don't think it's going to fare them very well. Then we go on to a little bit of user experience. So on the drop down menu here, where you can choose the country that you're currently looking for a job in. When you select any other country other than US, it doesn't work. It'd be great if it went through to even a blank page that said that there was no jobs available, or there was no content, or something with a better a better message to the user, so that they can understand that it's not there's not a lot to offer there. Then that would be better. But with it not working, it sort of like lets them down a little bit. You'll lose the trust of the user, I believe. And so then we go on to the main part of the audit. They've got some mixed content on there. So effectively what this means is that they're showing a lot of images there which are not coming from a HTTPS source. So what will happen there is some search engines may even warn users that your content is insecure, which obviously isn't a message that anyone wants to be sending their users. So I think that's something they need to pick up on, and it will help the bot understand it is a secure site and it's not half and half. Also, with that in mind, we've got a lot of links which are going from a HTTPS to a HTTP, then they're redirecting back to the HTTPS, so they're creating an unnecessary redirection. So, I mean, it would help if just moved everything over, just done a bit of, just to tidy that up a little bit, I believe, and that would certainly help. Then when I started looking into the sitemaps, so there is 301 links in the sitemaps, which isn't great. Google will pick up on a 301 just from crawling the site in general. You want to try and keep your sitemaps just with 200s, no 300s, 404s, 500s of any sorts in there. I suspect that they're submitting the sitemap via the Google Search Console, as there's no link to it from their robots file. Within their sitemap, I would also recommend adding the last modified date. It's been well documented that Google does listen to that, rather than using like priority or how often it changes. Then we move forward onto images. As you can see from this slide, they're not using alt tags at all. It'd be great if they did. This is a way that you can communicate with the search engines, so they really understand what the content of that image is about, and it really does help sort of provide them with the information they need to index those images correctly and sort of understand what the page is about more than anything. Then this is another sort of like no. It's external images that are broken. So they're using images that are on another site. They're using images that are on another site, which are now 404. A lot of them are. So I would say that. Can you see my slides? Okay.
Yeah, all good.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. Yep. So yeah, they're external images. Like I was saying, a lot of them are 404. So instead of seeing the actual image itself, you're going to be seeing just nothing, or maybe a place note image to say it's broken, which isn't good for the user. Obviously, you're trying to connect to an external source, and it's broken. It's not working well. The other thing that I noticed was that there was some pages with Flash. So Flash, we know, isn't good for mobile. It's not going to work very well mobile at all. Search engines also find it hard to crawl, so they're not going to get those pages crawled and indexed as effectively as what they would expect. So yeah, there's definitely something to look at there. Then we move on to some page speed here. So as we can see, performance wise, it's not doing great. We need to get some compression in there. That would help you with about 84%. Of speed. JavaScript, if you're dependent on using JavaScript, obviously Google's just released in Google I/O the new dynamic rendering. Might be something to investigate. I've not looked into it too much myself, but it is something that could obviously help. And also there's some images that could be cached and compressed that would also help speed up your site. So in general, I think it's more to do with the actual architecture of the site that needs cleaning up. To clean up those subdomains, pull them into one folder to really sort of into subfolders, I would say, to condense that authority within that .com domain name. Work on the user experience to ensure that all the parts of the site are working how you as a website owner would expect and how the user would expect. Clean up some mixed content and ensure that you're providing a secure content for the user and for the search engines. Obviously, some housekeeping to ensure that we clean everything up. Again, like I said, the sitemaps. There's lots of small bits and pieces which are really going to help clean the site up and put it in a good state of health overall and generally. And these are quite basic bits and pieces, but on a site of this size, it's something that will really sort of like carry some weight and really push the site where I believe it wants to be. So yeah, that's my brief audit of the site.
Thank you so much, Paul. That was really interesting. You are still on screen share mode. Yeah, now you're back.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Paul. And now I would like to ask Akhil and Andy if they have something to add here, which Paul couldn't cover because of time constraint. Yeah, Andy, go ahead.
I have something. He kind of covered it when he said that they don't have the sitemap in the robots file. But I would always recommend putting the sitemap in the robots file because then you're relying on a third-party source of Google Search Console talking to robots. So just always add it into the robots file.
Cool. Thank you so much, Andy.
It was a great audit.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Andy. Akhil, do you have something to add here? You are again on mute mode.
Okay. I think Paul covered it quite well in terms of understanding the architecture and the issues. I think one of the points which is also is that they have a lot of URLs which actually have duplicated content. So they generate URLs on a ID basis, which is 237.197 OTP jobs, and these URLs actually have the same content. So they have a placement agency listed as a portfolio on the URL. And all these URLs contribute to the same type of content. So I think they need also to understand the content and revise it, I think, for a user perspective.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Akhil, for adding that. And I really love the part about like performance part of this audit because I mean they are like you can do some minor tweaks to improve on performance, and sometimes it works like gold for you because now that we are moving to mobile first, so speed and your page performance in total in general matters a lot. So I would really recommend you guys to focus on that as well because that can make the real difference for you. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for adding your points for this website. I'm sure they would be super happy to hear all your thoughts. All right, so we are on time for a change. And now moving to the last website of the day, which would be covered by Andy. And the site is studiopedia.com. So Andy, it's all yours now.
Hi, let me just share my screen with you guys. 1 second. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Andy.
Cool. So this is Studiopedia. I've done a fairly detailed audit of this, but it's only from crawling. Obviously, I don't have a server log, so I've not done no server log analysis. So a good thing, first of all, the site is secure. I think most sites should be in 2018 be on HTTPS. But as I mentioned earlier, if you go onto this website, which is tools.keycdn.com, and chuck in a domain, you actually see the site isn't supporting HTTP2. From our experience, it takes about 10 minutes of development time. It's free to do. I've not spoken to a developer yet that can't give me a reason not to move to HTTP2. And the benefits is page speed reduces by about 50 to 70%. So your website will load in about half the amount of time that it currently is, which is huge. And one of the issues, which we'll cover in a minute, is page speed. So if you only take one thing from this entire 10 minutes, move to HTTP2. The next area I like to look in is the robots file. First of all, does it have a robots file set up? And yes, this site does. And is it set up correctly? Yep, it's got the user agents in there saying what you can and cannot do. You can go a bit more detailed, but at least they've got something in there. And they've got the correct link to the sitemap, and it's on the secure version. So that's a great start. I then took that sitemap and downloaded it and did some analysis on the sitemap. So I also crawled the website, which we'll cover in a minute. But so all the pages in the sitemap are in the crawl, which is good. However, there was 1,087 pages that were in the crawl, but not in the sitemap. So I dug a bit deeper into these pages, and it turns out these are all the tag pages. So the tag pages are set up to no index follow. So basically telling Google, you can follow them and crawl these pages, but no index them. So obviously you're wasting crawl budget there for starters. But then when you do a bit of analysis and start digging into these tag pages, they're really, so here's the no index follow that I was on about. But they're really, really thin pages. Like this page has this amount of text on it. 1, 2, 3, 10 words maybe. And it's just advert heavy and links. So obviously this is going to, unless you can see in your analytics that people click on these tags, and if that's the case, I'll probably change them to category links rather than tag links. I would remove tags. There's no point having both. And I know this has been one of the questions in the comments. You shouldn't really have tags and category pages. The kind of duplication. And when I get into the crawl analysis, you'll see that, yeah, they are just causing duplicate issues all across the website. So pick one or the other and stick to them. But yeah, so that was one of the big things. Is so there's 1,087 of these tag pages across the website that Google is crawling, but they're not in the sitemap. So let's jump into the crawl. I use a tool called Screaming Frog. One of the big issues with Screaming Frog is that it's not a visual product. So a few weeks ago, I launched this, which is just a free tool. You just chuck in the crawl data and it visualizes it. So the site has no 400 errors, but it does have 1404 and 22301 redirects on the site. In essence, there should be 0 really. You're the webmaster, you own the website. There is no reason you shouldn't go in and fix these. If the owner of Studypedia is watching this and you don't have a Screaming Frog license because the site's about 4,000 pages long, so you can't use the free version, let me know afterwards and I can send you the Excel file so it'll tell you where these pages are located. Digging in a bit deeper so we can search by status code. So we'll look at the 301s, and basically what happens is you link into these pages, and you've done the right thing here when you've got it in your htaccess file that when someone clicks on the link with no /, it automatically puts a / on. There's only ever one true version of a URL, so you're not getting duplicate content, but you're not following the same linking processes on your website. So you just need to go through these 22 links, find them on your website, and add the trailing / in. It's as simple as that. It's quite an easy fix. So going back down, and then we're going to look at Nitin kind of covered it a minute ago. Page speed is super important, and the larger the pages on your website, the more the issues you're going to have. So you're going to use more of your crawl budget. You're going to slow down the user. It's bad user experience. There's quite a lot of these pages which are, in essence, like huge. Like we'll come on to the reasons in a second, but yeah, these are huge files, especially when you start digging into the sizes. One of the biggest issues is images on the website. If we take this image here, for example, this top one, it loads here, which is just a visual image on the website somewhere, explaining what they do. All they needed to do was take that image, and I'm even going to do a live demonstration. So you know what happens with live demos; they don't always go well. But here's that image. I've saved it, right? And click saved it, and chuck it into compresspng.com. It's a free piece of software. They also own compressjpeg.com, so you can just compress it, chuck it in, wait a few seconds, let it work its magic. It's like this simple. You can do it on all these images, but yeah, it's a few seconds. You can chuck into, I think it's 20 at once. They'll just work in the background. Compresses it, and let's see, 67% reduction in size. Now, if you imagine that across the website, that's a huge difference in page speed and resources that one, the user, and two, Googlebot is going to have to use less of because they can download the images just as quickly. There is another little cheat as well. If you download this image and then chuck it back into compressed JPEG, you can usually get another reduction in size. With this one, it doesn't work, but so you just need to check it. But there's no loss of quality, and you've just saved 67% on the image size. Back to the crawl analysis. Slow response time. So this is looking at, and obviously this is screen frog data. It looks at, it's a snapshot, so these pages can change, but it looks at how long it takes to download the pages. Image. So the top two are images, so they're quite easy to fix. And the third slowest loading page on the website is a tag page. And going back to what I said earlier, that's 11 seconds that Google is trying to spend to download this page. It's a thin page. It's probably not going to hit it that often, but your crawl budget is basically based on time. So obviously that's 11 seconds it's wasting crawling that page. So sorting out these images, tag pages, tag, some more images, some more tag pages. Sorting out these pages, I'm removing the tag pages and compressing the images should allow you to improve your crawl efficiency and get Google to crawl more of your website. I've noticed I've got a timer going because I usually overrun, so I'm going to try and be good this time. But I'm running out of time. So tagging category pages are causing duplicate titles, removing duplicate tags, removing the tag section of the site and replacing all the tag links with category links eliminates all this. So all the duplicate titles, all the duplicate method descriptions are caused by the category pages, category and tag pages. So I'll just remove them. Then we go on to page speed. There are several tools out there. I prefer this one because I like the waterfall effect. But if you look into this, and I've only done this for the homepage, and I've run it 9 times and got an average. I think it's set to default of 3, but I like to run 9 because I do like a bigger data set. The site is taking nearly 13 seconds to load, which is not brilliant. But more importantly, it's taking 6 seconds to start to render. That's 6 seconds. The user sat there waiting before anything even happens. And the time to first byte of over 2 seconds. Some websites can even load the full entire page, don't mind first byte in 2 seconds. First byte, you're probably looking at server configuration, maybe database issues. Reducing this, you could easily get that down to 6 seconds just by moving to HTTP2. So that's the definite area I would recommend is focusing your effort. Sort out HTTP2. You could even have it done by the end of today. It is such a simple job. Like I said, my developer, when he does it for sites and client sites, takes him about 10 minutes per site. I think it's a bit quicker, but he likes to drag things out. So yeah, that's me up with 15 seconds to spare, which I think is a record for me. I'm finishing early.
Thank you so much, Andy, for sharing your findings on this website. It was really, really interesting, especially the performance part. And thank you so much for giving us live demo for image compression. It was really useful. And I know 67% is huge reduction in image size. And guys, on that note, so Andy just showed you like one example of manual compression. You can also use some APIs like Kraken, or there are like many other API solutions for compressing your images on the fly. So you can definitely explore those options as well, especially if you're a very big website and manual doesn't work for you. So thank you so much, Andy, for sharing that. Yeah.
If your website is WordPress, there's a WordPress plugin. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, which does it all for you on the fly again.
Exactly. Right. So just compress your images, use CDN, and then images-wise you're sorted. All right. Thank you so much, Andy, for sharing that. And yeah, now I know what exactly you're working on these days in terms of technical SEO. So I know a lot more about that. By the way, you spoke about a tool that you were planning to that you were working on, and you're planning to make it public, right?
Yeah. So that's a server log tool. It's an in-house tool at the moment. It's just not publicly facing, so I'm just trying to make it look a bit more pretty for people to use. But yeah, basically you'll just dump in your server logs, and then it'll, going back to the Screen Frog report, it'll basically just visualize and tell you all your issues and all your errors. But that's a couple of weeks off yet.
Lovely. Looking forward to it. All right. Thank you so much, Andy, once again. And now I have a question for Akhil and Paul, if they have something to add here on this for the website.
I think Andy covered it quite well in terms of the whole analysis. One just small point that I would like to add, maybe if they could fix it quickly, is that the entire top navigation is being duplicated in the cache version. So if you see the cache version of the pages, the top navigation is being repeated twice. They could just prevent that, and could prevent some of the crawling time. I think that's the only insight that I could probably find. Otherwise, I think Andy covered it superb.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akhil, for adding that. Interesting stuff, man. Paul,
Yeah,
you have
I
something
think
to add
from my
here?
point of view, I think Andy covered it very well. The only thing that I picked up on was those tag pages have got no titles, so they're probably not being used by many users anyway. So that was about the only thing, and just some JavaScript issues, which again, with the likes of the dynamic rendering, that might take care of it and just speed it up a little bit more, but probably not as much as what HTTP2 would.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much for adding that, Paul. Then I think we are done with all the audits for the day, and now we are still left with 20 minutes, so we can answer a lot of questions people are asking here. And well, Andy already answered one of the questions. Our visitor Kapil asked about tags and categories for WordPress site. So thank you so much, Andy, for covering that already. And moving to the next question, which is from Jaypal, who wants to know some SEO tips for new e-commerce site. And we have an e-commerce SEO expert with us, which is Akhil. So Akhil, what do you think about it? Can you put some light on it, please?
I think for e-commerce, when you're entering into a new space, it's very important to understand how the space is structured, which means that you should probably analyze your competition, what's the structure that they have, the folder level URL structures, and then once you have an insight of what business units you want to progress with, like be it mobiles, be it cars or anything, then you have an understanding of the URL patterns. After that, you should probably do your keyword research, categorize the keywords into long tail, short tail at a folder level and at a URL level, and then probably build your architecture. The most important thing I think to start with is to have a good architecture and a good interlinking component in an e-commerce site. That will probably help you in most of the problems that you might face at a later point of time. So competition study and I think keyword architecture is quite important there.
Sure. Thank you so much, Akhil, for adding that, for answering that question. Well, moving to the next question, which is from Rohin, who is asking, is there any easy way to import Screaming Frog report to Google Data Studio? And we have Google's Data Studio expert with us, who's Andy. So Andy, what do you think about it?
So yeah, so the one I showed you in my talk was built in Data Studio. So the easiest way, and you can download mine, it's free on the website, and then you can just rip it off. But basically what happens is I import the data into Google Sheets and then link Google Sheets to Data Studio. You could use, and I am tempted to use Google BigQuery and import the data straight into BigQuery. And speaking to Screaming Frog, I believe they are making that a bit easier going forward. But yeah, I would just use Google Sheets for now. So paste the data into Google Sheets and map it straight into Data Studio. It's pretty easy to do.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Andy. Andy, can you also then share the link of your Google Data Studio report so that we can share in YouTube live chat and people can take a look at it from there itself directly?
Yeah, do you want me to tweet it or do you want me to put it in the comments on YouTube?
In the comments here, and then yeah, Semrush will take care of putting that to YouTube live chat. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Then moving to the next question, which is from Uday Kiran, and the question is basically about what is the best structure according to you for blog hosting? Is it subdomain or directory or whatever? So what do you think about it, guys? Akhil, do you wanna add something on this?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it, to be honest, it depends on your long-term strategy. Are you planning to have multiple languages on a website, or are you planning to have a single domain with a single language? So let's assume the latter case, which is having a single domain with a single language. I think in such cases, and this is my personal experience speaking, or people might have different views on that, is that it's good to have a directory structure rather than a subdomain. At times, subdomain might be treated as a unique domain, and it might not inherit the value of the root domains. If you have a blog structure like /blog, it'll be quite useful to get the entire value from the domain. I think Moz also did shifted their subdomain from a blog, and they had seen some good results. I would recommend to have a blog structure, because when you interlink back from the blog to your website internal pages, that time I think it's quite useful, because you would be probably forming a direct link to your root domain and not to a subdomain. So people have blogs mainly for content generation and interlinking. So I think that's the point.
Yeah, and I think that's all about happy flow. And when you're doing absolute white hat SEO, but if you're planning to do some gray hat or black hat with your blogs, then I would recommend you to keep it a separate subdomain and make sure that your shitty stuff is not hurting your main website.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because if you're kicked out, your subdomain might be kicked out. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much for answering that, Akhil. Okay, so the next question. Well, a lot of questions we are picking today. Everyone would be super happy, including me. Okay, so moving to the next question, which is from Venkatesh Varalu. The question is how to generate sitemap for dynamic website. Well, that's a very good question. I think Andy already mentioned something related to this, that the website he audited had a lot of orphan pages which are not covered in their sitemap. So yeah, Andy, could you please put some light on this?
Yeah, depending on what your website is built in, there is plugins or tools to automatically generate sitemaps. So if it's WordPress, something like Google XML Sitemaps plugin will do that for you. So every time you create a new page or a page disappears, it'll remove it from the sitemap. If you're a custom CMS, obviously you have to speak to the developer and get that done. There are plenty of options. It really just depends on what platform your site's built in. But yeah, having an up-to-date sitemap is really crucial. So yeah, whatever you can do to make it as live as possible is best.
Yeah, cool. Thank you so much, Andy, for that. So well, on the same note, I think I started my professional journey with Flipkart, and there we worked on a similar solution. So we had like all the XMLs, and then we had one XML which was something that we were keep updating, and then we were using like all the APIs for pinging Google or and other search engines to inform them about this always updated XML sitemap so that they can come, crawl, and index these new pages. So yeah, thank you so much, Andy, for adding that. Alrighty, so moving to the next question. The question is, we have a blog with same page title and meta title, but Semrush suggested they both must be different. But now that the pages are ranking well, what should I do? Should I change it, or should I keep it as it is and enjoy the show? Who wants to put some light on it? All three of them, maybe?
I'll take it if you want.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I'd look in Search Console and see which one's getting the most amount of traffic, and don't touch that one and change the other one, and test it and see what happens and monitor over a couple of days, maybe a week or so. If your ranking stabilized with a new meta description, great. And obviously Google announced yesterday or the day before they've just shortened back what your character limit is on meta descriptions. So you've got to make sure you have a good call to action in your meta description straight away to encourage your user to click through. So yeah, I'd change the one that gets the least amount of clicks and least amount of impressions, test it, see what happens. If you do lose anything, then I'd just revert back and ignore the recommendation, because obviously it's currently working for you. But every page should, in theory, have a unique title and description.
Exactly. Well, I think that's the purpose of meta title and meta description, to make it convincing for users who are searching on search engine, to somehow convince them to click on your link and work on your CTR part. And if your titles are matching your meta title and working well for you, considering the CTR part, then I think there is no need to change. But that's the space that you can basically use for your CTR optimization. And if you think you can make it, you can make some tweaks to make it even better, then go for it and give it a shot. I mean, there is no harm in trying, right? So definitely go for it. All right. So moving to the next question, which is a very interesting one: how to fight Google broad core algorithm update. We see some fluctuations in our rankings.
Oh. I think the point, if I may just take that, I think the point is not to fight it. The point is to adopt it. So how do you adopt the changes in Google score, right?
Yeah.
And I think there is nothing as there's nothing as an algorithm change. There is always a higher experience for the users, right? You move from content to links to user experience and to mobile. So if there's a fluctuation in the ranking, first you try to analyze what keywords did you get down. Did you get only specific keywords on certain pages down, or is the entire website? So divide your analysis into that. If there are specific pages, make sure that you have not made any changes recently, and what's the structure of those pages. If it's across the website, then you might be hit by a broad thing, which then you have to probably audit the entire content or the links side of your website. So first understand, is it a bundle of pages or is it the entire website? And then probably divide your analysis on that.
Thank you so much, Akhil. And rightly mentioned that it's not about the fight, because I mean, it's not, if we're fighting with Google for some particular algorithm, then Google will say, okay, you're right, then I'll probably, revert this algorithm. It never works like that. And of course, I mean, Google is also working on better user experience. They also want to serve the best possible pages. So they're working on quality part. So everything, more or less everything that they're releasing is basically for a better user experience. And hence, I think it's all about adoption and making your website more user-friendly, and hence for better search engine friendly as well, I would say. So thank you once again, Akhil. And moving to the next question, which is from Dinesh. The question is, a website is secure, but all its subdomains are not secured. Can it be an issue? What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I would make all the subdomains secure for several reasons. One, you can make them onto HTTP2, so obviously you get the page load issues. But you also, if your subdomains are on HTTP and your domain's on HTTPS, if you're using something like Google Analytics, it won't pass referrer data from non-secure to secure. It only pass referrer data from secure to secure. So you're kind of messing up your analytics, because you'll see as a referrer, no, it'll actually go direct, I believe, if it's not secure. So you'll see you're getting more direct traffic. In essence, it's just someone moving around your website. Unless there's fundamental technical reasons why you can't move them to HTTPS, and I'm not sure why they would be, I would highly recommend you moving it. You've already done most of the work making your main site HTTPS, so you might have to make your subdomains secure as well.
Good. Thank you so much, Andy. Well, thank you so much, guys, for being super, super efficient. We already covered 10 questions today, and moving to the last one for the day. And the question is from Uday, which is, we have few pages where we announce winners on daily or weekly basis, which are no use for search engines. So shall we put no index or no follow tag on these pages, or what should we do with these pages?
I would put definitely no index on them, because there's no use to the search engine. Depending, if there's no real content on there, it's just Joe Blogs won the competition. No follow as well, because you're not going to get no links pointing to them. The only caveat with that would be, if you do get quite a lot of external links pointed into the page, you might just want to leave the follow on there, so that Googlebot can, when they land on the page, can figure out the rest of your site. That'd be the only time if you've got external links pointing to the page. If not, no index, no follow.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think
please go ahead.
I think just Paul mentioned rightly, if you have external links pointing to it, it makes a use case to have a good architecture on that page. But if there is nothing at all, I think it's best not to waste Google's crawl budget on those pages, because you would certainly have other important pages to take note of. So I think it's quite important that you index it if it doesn't lead to any value.
Yeah, thank you so much, Akhil. And Akhil, on the same note, I mean, you being e-commerce expert probably can put some light on e-commerce related case here. For example, if I have an e-commerce site and I have a landing page for, say, summer sale, and I know this page is live there for, say, 5 months only, and then I have to, take it down. How would you recommend handling these kind of cases?
Okay, so I think a lot of sites deal with such cases, be it classified sites where the product appears and then goes off. I think it's all a use case of what value does that page have right now. So let's take summer sale for an example. If summer sale has no rankings, or it does not have any traffic as such now, then you would probably do that as a 410 and say that the page is gone and the page is no more. And but if the page has value, if the page has traffic, anything, Then what I would recommend is probably the sale page is created for a particular season, and this is no season at all. In that case also, you shouldn't let the page go off. You can still keep the page, and then just place products that we might be right back, or we'll have summer sale the next season, and then meanwhile you can check all these products. So it's good to keep the page live if you're going to use the page the next year also. So just have different links to different products where you can still keep the page as a valuable page and then use it the next year. So it all depends on your use case strategy. If you're going to keep it for long term, do not delete it. If it doesn't have any value and there's no long term use, then you can go and delete it.
Yeah.
410.
Cool. Thank you so much, Akhil, for writing that. I think that answers a lot of questions people have. Generally, those who are dealing with these kind of seasonal pages. So thanks for your input on that. All right. I thought of making it as last question, but then we have another interesting question which we cannot avoid, which is about mobile, basically mobile first and mobile page speed. And I would love to, hear your opinions on that. So maybe Andy can start on that.
So yeah, first of all, let me start. When Google announced this, I actually thought mobile page speed was a ranking factor. So it was a bit of a shock when they announced it was going to become a ranking factor. But yeah, anything you can do, we've covered it several times. HTTP2, clicking your page speed, juicing images, and it makes sense because anything you can do to reduce your page speed gives a good user experience to the user. Google cares about UX, so obviously it makes big sense. I actually think it's going to be quite a big update. So, but we'll have to wait and see until July. And I've also heard rumors. I'm not a PPC expert, but I think Semrush has got a PPC chat this afternoon. That as well from July, your quality score is also going to be affected by page speed on AdWords. So as well as it being an SEO impact, it's also going to affect your AdWords costs. So yeah, sorting out your page speed is going to become really big in the next 2 or 3 months.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Andy. Anyone else wants to add anything on this?
Yeah, I think the bit I'm looking forward to see is how AMP versus non-AMP pages are going to be affected by this. As in, is it really going to be that much of a difference between like a mobile responsive site, for example, compared to something along the lines of AMP or a PWA or something like that, or a mixture of both?
Of course, yeah. Thank you so much for writing that. That was interesting. All right. So with this, I think we're done with like most of the questions people ask us here today. And if your question is still like not picked because of time constraint, because now we are trying to wrap it up, so you can reach out to me or any of our experts on LinkedIn or Twitter, and we'll be more than happy to answer questions. So on the same note, I would like to invite our experts to share their key takeaway for the day. And you can also mention your preferred communication channel where people can reach you if they have questions which are not answered here for some reason. So maybe Paul, you can start.
Yeah, so I think my main takeaways is obviously, like Andy said, would be page speed. Implement your HTTP2. Look at your top level architecture and user experience, and really just work your way through very simply through your site. Don't try and overcomplicate it too much. And then look into some of the new technologies that are coming out, like the dynamic rendering for JavaScript. If there is any questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter, which is _Paul Lovell. And yeah, I'll be happy to answer anything.
Thank you so much, Paul. And it was a pleasure having you here. And I really appreciate all your findings that you shared about your website. Thank you so much for that, Paul. Wonderful having you here. All right, moving to the next guest, that's Akhil. So Akhil, what's your key takeaway?
I think thanks to Paul and Andy for sharing some wonderful insights on the entire learnings. I think the key takeaways would be the movement from HTTPS 2. I think Andy said it wonderfully, and from Paul's analysis, I think the site speed and the whole analysis that Paul did on the site structure, I think would be quite useful. So I'll be looking forward to the transition from HTTP and the site speed analysis.
Thank you so much, Akhil, for sharing that. And what's your preferred communication channel?
I think LinkedIn and Twitter would be the other preferred communication channels. Of course, LinkedIn would be the preferred one.
Perfect. Thanks, Akhil.
Thank you so much.
And Andy, what's your key takeaway?
I kind of covered it in my talk. If you're on HTTPS and not on HTTP2, do that today, please. You'll see the benefits overnight. And also, yeah, some of the other talkers have been great. I've actually learned quite a bit today. I've got some notes here. But yeah, my big takeaway is if you're not on HTTP2, please go and do it. And my if you want to get in touch, it's LinkedIn is Andrew Halliday or Twitter is A Halliday. So,
yeah. Or you can also, I think, find his contact details on his website, which is onpagerocks.com, right?
No, onpage.rocks.
OnPageRock. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Andy. And for me, the key takeaway was like time management. You guys were awesome. We answered a lot of questions to make everyone super happy. So thank you so much, everyone, for that. And I really enjoyed each and every audit that you did today and a lot of questions which people asked. So thank you so much, everyone, for the amazing support and response once again. And that's it from us for today. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye.